Community Economic Recovery Forum. We're here because we want to hear from you, community members, about how to best spend the American Recovery Plan Act recovery funds. As you may know, President Biden released money for cities and states and municipalities, counties that we can use to basically fight the impact of the COVID pandemic on cities, not only small businesses and the community itself, but to fight, for the city to also think about how we can use the funds to recover and best use it for the community, as well as recover from the health impacts, the public safety impacts. So there's a few specific ways we can spend this money. The city itself received $6.3 million, and we received that in two tranches. July, we received half of it. Next year, we will receive the other half of it. We do need to obligate the money by the end of 2024, and we need to spend the $6.3 million in total by December of 2026. So you may have seen the survey that was launched online. That was the day after the last city council meeting, about a week and a half ago. And we have some great response from that, about over 300 people. And we also wanted this forum to hear from you directly and give you a chance to talk to us in person. And Carl, I think I will turn it over to you, and then we'll go over more details about how the process will work after you speak.
Okay, just to give a brief overview of what we've done in March, after ARPA was passed, the council appointed a subcommittee, Councilmember Dawson and me, as the Economic Development and Recovery Subcommittee. We worked with Tracy Robinson, our city's administrative director, and City Manager Srivatsa to develop an RFP. We interviewed 4 consulting firms and consultants and retained HDL Econ Solutions. So you have on your screen from HDL, Barry Foster, Sandy Meyer, Angela Tsui. And we also retained as the city's temporary economic development manager, Thomas Myers. So he's been with us since April. We did the interviews and brought people on board in April. Thomas has been on the job since then, has met many in our business community since then. In July, the subcommittee and the consultants developed a survey for the business community. It went live in late July and closed on August 31st. 78 businesses and nonprofits responded for that survey. After we got the results of that survey, our consultants developed the community survey that Councilmember Dawson mentioned. The council revised it and approved it last week. It was launched last Tuesday, and as of yesterday, we have 348 responses. So pretty quick response to that survey. And that will be open until October 25th. Now, we'll have another one of these community forums on October 21st. We are aiming to take all the input from our consultants, from the community, business community survey, and aiming to make a recommendation to the full council at its November 8th meeting. So that's the immediate target date.
Thank you, Carl. Tracy, will you help? And Tracy, as you all may know, or if you don't, is our Director of Administrative Services for the City of Lafayette. And Suzanne Ireland is also helping us with this. She is the black box in the corner there. So thank you, Suzanne, for joining us on this meeting. Can you review for us, Tracy, the process so people know we're doing a few things differently tonight? Oh, you're on mute.
Darn, you think I'd know that by now. Okay, so I think we're going to start out by bringing, just similar to a council meeting, we're going to have people who want to talk can raise their hands. I believe that if you are on a phone, it's *9.
That's correct.
Right, okay, and we're gonna allow 2 minutes per person for the first round. We have something new that you will probably be seeing at council meetings, which is a timer. So once your time starts, you can see the timer on the screen and it will count down so that you know how much time you have. Something we're using for this webinar is also there is a Q&A option available. So that should be at the bottom of your screen. So if you have some questions that you just want to type in there, we'll be keeping an eye on that, and we can, I'll read those off to the panel, or if there's answers to the questions that I can provide. So if you can just hit that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So with that being said, I'm going to start bringing in people to speak. And like I said, if you want to speak, you raise your hand. Right now I have 2 hands raised. And our first speaker is going to be Grace Dixon, followed by Jana Corey, followed by Lauren Herpick. Okay.
I might say this is going to be different from a council meeting in that if you have a question for council members or the consultants, please feel free to ask it and we'll answer it. So comments, questions, everything's open. Thanks.
Yes, correct. I just want to clarify too, what we'll try to do is as you said, Carl, we'll get through the comments and then we'll open it up for some more open dialogue. That way, hopefully, those of you who have comments, we can get through those, all of those in time as well. Okay, looking forward to hearing from you.
This is Grace. I'm ceding my time to Lauren Herpick.
Okay. So I am going, well, Lauren was third. I'm going to bring in Jana Corey. Is that okay? You want me to bring in Lauren? Does it matter to you?
No, whatever's easiest for you to do at
All right,
the.
well, since Grace ceded to Lauren, I'm going to bring Lauren in, and then Jana Corey will be next.
Thank you.
And then if Suzanne, if you could reset that timer to 4 minutes.
Hi, Council. Sorry, I had an ice cream social earlier, so you're back at the Dryer's ice cream parlor. And also thanks for the timer. So Grace is ceding me time because we wanted to make this presentation. I do want to say for anybody on, please listen. It's an amazing idea and argument. So I'm going to have Grace take it away.
All the projects listed on the survey are worthy of ARPA funds. However, 6.37 million is not a lot of money. As a point of reference, just painting the green bike lane on Pleasant Hill Road cost $500,000. What we need to address these 11 projects is a source of reliable annual income. The most responsible and business savvy approach is to apply the 6.37 million in a proven high yield, high return investment. What choice on this list of 11 has the highest return on investment? Parks, trails, and creek walks. To speed things along, I'll use the shorthand term parks. For 160 years, parks have dramatically improved local property values and sales tax revenue. Both property values and sales tax feed our city's general fund, which is how our city may address all 11 worthy projects. What kind of return on investment do parks provide? Parks return on investment is from 4 to 1 to 40 to 1. A conservative example is if Lafayette spends $5 million on parks and achieves only a 5 to 1 return on investment, that is $25 million income. Parks increase property values by 5 to 33% for surrounding properties. A conservative example of property tax income is to take 2 medium-sized downtown parks, build them near only 600 homes, and those homes experience only a 10% value increase. That is still an additional 5.9 million more every year in property tax revenue. Parks help local businesses by attracting visitors whose studies show spend an average of $48 per park visit. A conservative example of sales tax income increases. If two medium downtown parks improve the annual sales tax fund by just 20%, that is $1.2 million every year of sales tax revenue for Lafayette. This increased revenue flows into the general fund every year, which can be designated to fund key projects like pedestrian and bike safety, senior housing, and fire safety. Parks the economic engine that makes money for the projects so worthy of our investment. We are in a unique time where the amount of population downtown is growing by 50% within the next few years, just with approved projects alone. With the 2,114 RENA plans, plus SB 9 and 10 impacts, we are at the edge of both great change and great opportunity, but only if we manage it well. Currently, downtown residences have less than 2.2 square feet of parkland per person. The World Health Organization designates 100 square feet per person as the minimum for health. Lafayette currently has less than 2% of the World Health Organization's minimum for health. After new projects, RENA housing, and SB 9 and 10, we will have less than 1 square foot of parkland per person unless we do something about it. If we do nothing about it, our property values will diminish, our quality of life will suffer, our air quality will decrease, our traffic will grow worse, and we will not accomplish our goals of being a welcoming, diverse, family-friendly, sustainable community. Safe streets and senior housing are my two favorite ways of investing this money, but we won't have enough unless we invest in parks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace and Lauren.
Okay, so I currently have 3 hands raised, 4 hands raised. So the next speaker will be Jana Corey, followed by Kathy Bowles.
And s-
Well, thank you, Council, for collecting input from via the community-wide survey and these workshops. Really appreciate that. And supporting the business community is clearly one of the goals set forth by the council for these funds, and it falls within the ARPA guidelines. A vibrant downtown is critical to economic vitality of the entire community, providing revenue for the city and drawing residents and others to downtown business and enjoying downtown activities. It's also long been a strategic objective of the council as well. And of course, importantly, community surveys reopening the Park Theater has consistently ranked in the top 4 priorities for residents. And we believe that if community redevelopment funds had been available, the theater would be open today. I forgot to introduce myself, Jana Corey, with the park, speaking on behalf of the Park Theater Trust Board, trying to go fast. As you're aware, we began our journey in 2018, and unfortunately, COVID really set back the project. And we sent a detailed impact statement to the council, and I hope you get a chance to review that because it really talks about the price increase, the construction costs increase, due diligence, multiple due diligence, all the things we had to do. And now more than a year and a half later, we are under contract. We're evaluating 3 high qualified operators. We have a parking settlement with the city, and importantly, we're actively fundraising right now. So our ask is that the City Council consider granting the nonprofit Park Theater Trust some of the ARPA funding, and ideally in the first tranche of distribution. That'll help us get a jump start on bringing the project forward. And the thing I hear a lot from council is looking for multiplier investments. So investing in the Park Theater will have a multiplier effect. So you put the money in and it's going to multiply the whole city. So in closing, let me just reiterate my key point. Upon reopening, the Park Theater will have an immediate, lasting, materially beneficial effect on all downtown businesses, leveraging the funds into a much larger impact. And of course, it will provide our citizens with iconic and beautiful theater, once again offering cinema, arts, and culture opportunities to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jana. I appreciate that.
Our next speaker is going to be Kathy Bowles, followed by Michael Gilson, followed by Jessica Lorden.
Guess I'm not. Okay. Oh, is the timer on? Okay. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Kathy Bowles. Now I have my Park Theater hat on. I just want to thank the city staff and council for supporting us for the last 3 years in this effort. We have the pleasure of meeting with some city council members and past mayors, including Bob Fisher recently, and they reminded us of the vision that those early council members had going back to 1968 and creating a there in downtown, and how important that early vision and long-term strategic planning is for us. It created, Chateau Lafayette, it created the plaza, the historical district, the library. And I know people are concerned a little bit about, well, gosh, with the resurgence of the park, will people come? They said that about the library because Kindle came up. So we know that with streaming, not that there's a challenge, but that people will absolutely come to the theater because it is a whole thing about community. I wanted to quote a little bit from an Ernst & Young report that came out in August 21, referring to 2019, estimating that movie operations and movie night spending generated more than 4.9 billion nationwide. Overall, nationwide dining and retail spending associated with movie visits is 5 billion. In California, 912 million was the largest tax contributor in the movie industry. And our small independent theaters generate more than 3 billion in annual sales. So it is a long-term investment. It lifts every up. Oh, I'm done.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.
Okay, I currently have 2 hands raised, and the next speaker is Mike Gilson. Followed by Jessica Lorden.
Unmute. There we go. I'm Mike Gilson. I'm the president of the Lafayette War Veterans, which is the stewards of the Lafayette Veterans Memorial Building. And for those of you who don't know, the Veterans Building was built with funds provided by Contra Costa County, the cities of Lafayette and Walnut Creek, and opened in May of 2005. Since that time, the building has been funded entirely out of rental revenue. Up until COVID hit in March of 2020, at which time our revenues fell off the table completely. We were successful at getting 2 PPPs and a small grant from the state, but we are in dire financial straits, and the funding from ARPA would allow us to continue to operate for the benefit of the community. For the 5 years prior to COVID, the board was successful in not only funding improvement projects for the building, but also was able to donate small amounts of money to local veterans organizations. We're now at a point where we've spent all of our reserve fund, which was a fairly significant amount of money prior to COVID. But we, as you may not know, it costs us $3,000 a month just to provide the basics of operation of the building, which is PG&E, East Bay Mud, our fire safety inspections, et cetera, et cetera. So the money that would be provided by ARPA from the city of Lafayette would be critical to allow us to continue to operate. Otherwise, the building gets potentially handed back to the cities of Lafayette and the county of Contra Costa, which I don't think anybody wants to see happen.
Thanks for that update in your comments. Thanks, Mike.
So our next speaker is going to be Jessica Lorden, followed by Megan Mittman. And Megan is the last person I have a hand up for right now. Oh, we got another one.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Jessica Lorden. I really like a lot of these ideas that are being thrown around tonight, and a lot of them are centered in downtown and how they can be continued funding sources, which I think is a really important thing to think about. Something that hasn't been considered is how we're going to get all these people to these new places, right? You know that I'm big on pedestrian and bicyclist safety. And, oh, I can't share my screen. Oh, yes, I can. This I would like to just show is what happened this morning. So this is our Lafayette Morocca Trail. And this is a car. And this is School Street. And that happened during the school commute, which is just crazy. And it just goes to show that we really need dedicated and safe pathways for all of our residents to get from their homes down to downtown so that we can come down and we want to spend money and we want to do things like that. And parking doesn't have to be an issue because we already know parking is tight and we're going to be adding all these new residents soon. So I really, really encourage that we use a lot of these funds to make our streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists so we can tackle these issues, make our city safer for everybody, drivers included, and get everybody downtown and really revitalize this downtown, get it up and going again. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
So our next speaker is Megan Mittman, followed by Dorothy Walker, who is the last hand I have up at this time. Oh, got one more.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Mittman. I live on Marywood in Burton Valley. Just wanted to speak to hoping that we'll put some funding behind a Vision Zero commitment. This is something obviously we've been having a community-wide conversation about for some time. It's my opinion that there's a two-part solution to making Vision Zero possible in our community. One is leadership and one is funding. And so clearly that's part of the conversation tonight is how can we put some real money behind the words that I'm hoping we'll hear at City Council meeting next Tuesday night. I'm hoping those funds can go in a couple of different ways. One is to quick build immediate projects that are ready at all of our schools to be able to show some commitment to doing some safe routes to school projects right now. And then the other is a signature project, which I envision as being a First Street style trail to all of our schools. And finally, I'd like to just to reemphasize the multiplier effect of the funds. And I do believe strongly that if we can make connections to our downtown walkable and bikeable and make our downtown walkable and bikeable, that's a way to not only benefit the safety, but also sustainability and the economic vitality of our downtown. So a win-win-win and a way to stretch those dollars even further. So I really encourage the city to make the decision to invest some of these really important and rare funds for our community to support pedestrian and bicycle safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
So our next speaker is going to be Dorothy Walker, followed by Hannah Glass. Oh, Dorothy Walker, there you go.
A commissioner for the Senior Services Commission, and I'd like to remind the council members that the city of Lafayette is an age-friendly city. We became one in, I believe, 2019, and there are 8 domains that affect becoming an age-friendly city. And I would hope that you would use those areas of interest, such as transportation, parks and recreation, civic participation, emergency preparedness, and so forth. I'm blanking on some of the other ones, I'm sorry to say. But I hope in distributing these funds, you will consider the age-friendly qualities that each of the components of the how you distribute those funds. I would also particularly like to emphasize, when we did our public hearings, that benches and some kind of a jitney service would be really helpful to people who have disabilities or mobility issues rather, and wanting to utilize the downtown more often, and I think would be helpful to encouraging our use of local businesses as well. So again, the multiplier effect that we've already been hearing about tonight would be something that improvements to the age-friendly domains would utilize. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy, for
Okay, our next speaker is Hannah Glass, and that is the last hand I have raised right now. Oh, I've got a few more.
Hi, I'm Steve Pascucci. Hannah Glass is my wife. I'm on her phone. I would like to see these funds used for a more vibrant downtown which would also create more tax revenue, attract more citizens to the town, and have a more vibrant downtown by making it more accessible and less of a hassle to come downtown. So for example, coming from the West End, the reservoir side of town, there's a difference between a bike route and a bike lane. And what I'd like to see is a bike lane, like a green wave that comes down from this side of town and connects to BART and downtown. I make that trip on my bicycle a couple of times a morning to go to the Phil's and work from that coffee shop, and it's dangerous. There's cars parked along the shoulder, and then there's a tight little lane, and then there's a Diamond K, I think, with a crazy parking situation, and sometimes there's a food truck out there, which I'm happy to see, but it's very hard to navigate. And then it connects to basically the Trader Joe's area where there's cars, and sometimes I'm forced to go on the sidewalk, which I know is a legal thing to do, but the pedestrians aren't too happy about it. So if there was a nice safe lane that we could build, all throughout town, but that's one example, I think that'd be a good way, and we'd get a good return on investment. So thanks, and I'll give up the rest of my time to the next person.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, our next speaker is Alex Plasek. And that's, we have people who want to speak again after Alex. They've already spoken, and we do have a question I'll read out after Mr. Plasek is done.
Okay.
Thank you so much for making this possible, council members and consultants and staff. I really appreciate it. It's really wonderful to hear everybody else's great ideas and sort of rank those amongst the ones that I'm passionate about. I'm a 3-generation Lafayette native, and really want to see these dollars be well used. And the number one thing I think we need to be mindful of is traffic safety in our town. The math is that Lafayette is 4 times higher than the national average on pedestrian and bike fatalities. I was shocked. I know we have a little town, and it's but they're real numbers, and we are not going to have property values. We're not going to have people shopping in towns when people start realizing how dangerous it is to be a citizen of our fair city. I'd like to see a significant portion of these dollars spent to address the significant problem that we have with School Street and our other schools as well. The one I'm most knowledgeable about is School Street. We've had a significant amount of studies done, and we haven't really done anything about it. And I really believe that we can make a significant difference if we can show some leadership with the city and the community coming together. This would be a great head start for our town. And I know it's about prioritization, and infrastructure isn't really what this is about, but we have to take safety first, and we have to make it a community priority. I appreciate your consideration and hosting these, and I look forward to seeing you at the future ones. Thank you.
Okay, before we go back for round two, for some people who want to speak, there was a question. Lorden Herpick said, will we be able to address existing free and accessible downtown park locations such as Boswell's and the Wilkinson property near Tutu's and American Kitchen that the city is already investing time in exploring?
Lauren, if I understand your question correctly, you're basically asking if we'll be further exploring that. Those are properties that in general, we're aware of and we would take into consideration for various uses. So yes, it just basically I can say we're aware of those, and there are we continue looking at options for those if and when they become options for us that are realistic for the city.
Okay. And there was another question that came in, which was, could the funds be paid into the general fund and reserved in a leverage fund that could be used as matching funds to secure grants or fundraising dollars for the city's many needs as opportunities arise?
One of the uses that we can definitely do with these funds is basically make up, so to speak, for the sales tax revenues the city lost, because of the impact to businesses that help generate that revenue for the city. So we could bring reserve, so to speak, some of that general funds to take it back to spend on things that we already have budgeted for. As far as the question regarding using that for grants, it's exactly what we're trying to look at here with the survey to both surveying the businesses and the community to find out the need and how we would possibly do that. And so our consultants will be working with us for that. And obviously we're looking at feedback from the community. So that's a good idea to add to the mix. Thank you. And Carl, jump in if you have anything to add, please.
No, I agree. The short answer to the question is yes.
Okay, I have one speaker that hasn't spoken yet, and that would be Mary Newman. So I'm going to bring her in right now. Also, remember, if you'd like to speak, just raise your hand or push *9 if you're on a telephone.
Hello, I apologize if I'm not on video. This is Mary. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you for setting up this forum. I just want to briefly speak to funding the nonprofit sector with these relief funds. As you know, many nonprofits have been affected by COVID in their efforts to fundraise. And LCF, which I'm a board member of, is proud of the work we've done to support our community for the past 2 decades. We've played an important role in setting up originally setting up the Lafayette Library Learning Center and the Lafayette stage at the Reservoir, the Lafayette, and including Lafayette Village. And then currently we are partnering with the new Park Theater effort development. But most importantly, we also provide funding for nonprofits through our Excellent Grants program. To date, we've had the great fortune of funding $800,000 by generous community donations. And we want to continue to do this. And we have a very special ability to do this in conjunction with this funding because we do deep research into these nonprofits and being able to select those that do have a great impact on our citizens and the broader community to help in various areas of need. So if you consider the nonprofit sector, we consider ourselves leaders in the local environment and are willing to help. And we hope that you consider Lafayette Community Foundation as a vital recipient of this special funding. And we will do our best to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. We appreciate what LCF does for the community. Thank you.
Okay, one more question before we get to the repeat speakers. The question is, has the city's commissions and committees submitted their priorities for projects that they've already spent time evaluating and vetting?
We do have those priorities from when we meet with the commissions or they present to us at the council meeting. So we do have those, and we will be reviewing those as well. And that would be reviewed in terms of looking at how the city's budget has been impacted by, once again, the sales revenue losses. So it's one of the things we take into consideration.
Okay. So I have two people that have spoken already that have their hands up, and that is Jessica Lorden, who I believe just wanted to clarify that picture that she had put up. So there's Jessica.
Hi there. Okay, so showing my screen again with the picture. Sorry, I was trying to get all my info in 2 minutes, and I guess I confused some people. So this is the trail. School Street runs parallel to it here. My family and I got on it Topper Court down here, and then you cross the bridges back here for the pumping station. Today, East Bay Mud, or I guess whoever's in charge, left the gate open here, and this car drove up School Street, made a left onto the trail, started heading towards the cyclist here. Realized their mistake. Another adult walked over, talked to them. They, from what I understand, and I wasn't part of it, but tried to back out, ended up the wrong way on the street. I'm totally not sure what's going on with them. But I just wanted to say it, even in areas where people are paying extra attention, we really need added protections because cars are bigger than people. That's all. I hope it's clearer now.
I'm sure that was very surprising for all involved there.
It was definitely, we were standing around going, what is going on? This is not a work truck.
Goodness.
I have two repeat speakers. There was another question that came in, which is, can you explain our city's actual revenue dollar shortfall for 2020 and projected 2021 versus 2019?
Tracy, would you like to weigh in on that one?
Sounds like a Tracy question.
Yeah. So given the formulas that we've been using to figure that out, based what ARPA has certain formulas that calculate the revenue exactly like you said, which is versus the last regular fiscal year. What we think we're going to have lost in 2020 actually was about $1.8 million based on their calculation. Going forward to this year, 2021, and we're talking fiscal 2021, which ended, I think, I don't have those numbers specifically yet, but I can tell you that it's probably, again, maybe another $1 million or so. I apologize, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think certainly when we talk about this again, I can provide a number that's more specific. But right now we know it's probably over $2 million. All right, so we have 3 repeat speakers that I'm going, if you'd like to continue, council members Dawson and Anduri, so we have a little time.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
going to bring in Dorothy Walker, and then Jana Corey, and then Michael Gilson.
Yeah, thank you. I just real quick just want to remind people who I see new on the participant list, if they do want to raise their hand, please do and make a comment. Thank you. And once again, thank you all for being here.
Did I not bring in Dorothy Walker? Did she disappear? I don't know what happened. I thought I brought her in, so I'm sorry that we lost her. Hopefully she'll come back. We did have another question come in. And this says, what weight are these comments in the survey going to be given? Is the council going to just take the most popular idea or highest ranked item and fund it? Or are you just taking the temperature of the public and will then have your own deliberation process?
Well, we will have a deliberation process. This isn't a popularity contest, that's for sure. We need to use the monies, obviously, by the required usage for it. And we also want it to be put to the best use, as we've all discussed earlier, and see what kind of multiplied returns we can get on that as well. And I think it's really important also that we note that we are doing the best we can to access people who really have been hit hard by this, including businesses that we might not have been able to contact yet that need recovery funds. So we are doing our best to not only listen to everybody and reach whoever we can, but those people that haven't chimed in but could probably most use some assistance.
Yeah, I might also mention that we did bring on HDL and Thomas because of their deep experience. Thomas has been with several cities in the economic development area. So he's got a lot of experience with this. HDL with Barry, Sandy, and Angela have a real deep background in this. And so we're taking advantage of their experience with other cities. I think that with respect to ARPA funds, we were the first city to retain them. They've since been retained by a number of other cities, but they promised that we get their best ideas, and I think they'll confirm that tonight. So we're looking for advice as to the best way to use these funds so it has a long range, not just a short range recovery impact. That's obviously the purpose of the act, but also in a way that can benefit in years to come.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Our team here is really important to put the best thoughts together so it can go in front of council for further deliberation. So thank you very much for filling in that.
Okay, the next speaker, so repeat speaker, I'm going to bring Mike Gilson back in, followed by Grace Dixon. If anybody else wants to speak again, just raise your hand.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Thank you very much. So I just want to add to what I said before. You know, some people don't realize that the Veterans Building is not just a building for veterans, but it's really a community center that hosts a variety of community organizations, including the Lafayette Sunrise Rotary, the Lafayette Garden Club, our mitzvahs, celebrations of life, which we hold on a regular basis for people in the community. And without the support of ARPA funds, you know, the building would most likely, under the most dire circumstances, be turned back to the county. And who knows what would happen to the building under those circumstances. We think that we've done the best job possible in the last 16 years to manage the building for the benefit of the community. And we've done so at a level that allows it to be an affordable meeting place for a variety of organizations. Oh, and by the way, including the Lafayette Police Department and the County Sheriff's Department and others that use the building on a regular basis. So we think that we've done the best we can to manage the building over these last 15 or 16 years, but it's not obvious how we continue to sustain operations until we get back to full operation, whenever that might be, without some immediate funding opportunities from the city or the county. So that's all I've got to say.
Michael, I just want to ask you, you mentioned, I think earlier, did you say you got some PPP loans? Did you work with Townsend?
We did work a little bit with Townsend. We got 2 PPPs. Actually, great benefit to our local bank, Mechanics Bank, who helped us with those. We got a $28,000 PPP in the first round, and then got a second PPP in January of 2021. And we really used that money to keep on our amazing building manager, Eileen Lawrence, who many of you know. We were fearful that we were going to lose her if we were to just simply terminate her. We got a little bit of state funding. We got a $15,000 grant from the state, but we got turned down recently in what's called the SVOG, or the Shuttered Venues Opportunity Grant, which would have provided us with, $92,000, but they said, quote unquote, we're not really a venue. And we tried to work with Townsend on that, but no success.
So Townsend did help you, but it still wasn't successful. Okay.
We swung and missed. Gina.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for bringing this forward tonight. That's very important to know.
Okay, I have a comment I'm going to read out, and then I'm going to bring in Tracy Farrell because she hasn't spoken yet, and afterwards I'll bring in Grace Dixon. So this comment says, I recommend that you do specific outreach to the school counselors and the staff that provide social services to our students. It seems that they may be able to provide specific feedback on what they've seen changing with families and students. They may also be able to help represent populations that don't want to fill out an online survey or participate in a Zoom meeting.
Yes, thank you very much for that comment. I think we all read recently in La Miranda Weekly about the school lunch program and some issues there at the school, and there obviously are families that hopefully we can reach out to. So thank you for that comment.
So I'm bringing in Tracy Farrell because she hasn't spoken yet, followed by Grace Dixon.
Hi there. I wasn't really planning on speaking tonight, but so forgive me if I'm disjointed, and ignore the unmade bed behind me. My grandchild left last night and I haven't had a chance to take care of it. But there's so many important projects for Lafayette to consider. I don't envy you your job, but we are in a really special place. I don't mean we, and I'm speaking partly as a member of the Park Theater Trust, but I'm also speaking as a citizen of Lafayette of over 35 years who's raised her family here. And we're in a special place because Lafayette has always had so much opportunity for its various citizens. Years ago, there have always been places to go for adults, and there was the Park Theater for our youth to also gather and have a great time, and families to go and have a great time. And now we have an opportunity to bring that back as a community. We also have an opportunity to serve our seniors who may not want to pay the entree fees at various restaurants locally, but in fact would love to come down and have a movie, or just hang out on a rooftop terrace with their friends after seeing a movie. The Park Theater Trust is in a unique place. We actually did not, as much as we tried to work with Townsend, and they were extremely supportive, we weren't in a position to take advantage at the time of any special funding, but we are now, and that's why we were coming to you. We have this opportunity to make an impact on Lafayette. The Ernst & Young report that you've seen is significant. in terms of the movie night tax revenues plus the additional spending that happens in a community. Movie theaters, cinemas, and a cultural hub like we're proposing has a year-round impact, not just in the summers, but when the nights are warm, but in the winter, want to go someplace special. So I encourage you and I ask you please to consider our application. We feel that we will serve so many different sectors of the community in such a positive, impactful, long-lasting way, and we'll be a happy place again where everyone can come and be part of the community.
Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Grace Dixon, and she is the last person that has her hand raised.
Good evening, everyone. I'm back home, not on recording. So at any rate, you guys do have a big job, and I support all of the projects that are in the survey, including the theater. They're all great projects. What I am basically proposing is an ongoing funding stream. That's what I feel like Lafayette needs to do. $6 million is not going to go very far. And so whatever you decide to do, please have the consultants really study the return on the investment of each expenditure, of the big ones and the small ones, because some do multiply and some don't. And even though they're worthy. So again, my top 3 picks, and all of them are worthy. My top 3 are pedestrian and bike safety, keeping our people safe, parks and creeks to pay for it, and fire safety to keep everybody safe, whether they're walking or driving. We can't burn down. My overarching basic focus and concern is that within 20 years, 70% of Lafayette's population will live within a 15-minute walk of downtown. Downtown is our bread and butter. That's where we make our sales tax revenue. That's where we all shop. That's where we all dine, hopefully spending our money downtown. And that's where our money needs to go. So again, I think parks are going to pay for it, and keeping our people safe, fire and walking and biking. But we are at the edge of major change, and we can either make the most of it or it can make the most of us. And I really want to be on the side of making the most of the change. So thank you for listening and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Oh, good timing. I just want to say thank you all for coming out tonight and sharing this. I know it's a short time with us, but sharing your thoughts. It is important to hear, and we want to hear from you. And also encourage you, if you haven't filled out the community survey, to do so. That would be good. And send it along and remind your friends and neighbors in the community to do so as well. And just a reminder, the next forum is on October 21st. So there's opportunity for people who that didn't get to come out or might have wanted to ask questions. There's another opportunity to do so. So we have a few more minutes. If anybody from the panel would like to chime in anywhere, or any last minute remarks from the community. Okay. Then on that note, I will end the evening with thanks and wishes for a very good night. And all be well, and we'll look forward to continued responses from the community and bringing this back to you at some point. Thank you.
There's a question. Question 11 popped up.
The question is whether the recording will be in YouTube. And yes,
sorry.
we do plan to upload this recording to YouTube. Oh, wait, there's more. Wait, now the questions are popping up. Nope, just a lot of thank yous.
Yeah. Well, thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Good evening.